Hello everyone, welcome to this complete Laravel training series. Before directly proceeding to our training, let me ask you something. Have you ever tried learning Laravel? Open tutorial and within 5 minutes you felt what we call is a completely lost. Comments are everywhere, concept is not explained, and suddenly you are just copying code without understanding anything. That's exactly the problem with most tutorials. So, in this course, we are going to do things differently. We are not just going to write code, we are going to understand what we are building. So, by the end of this course, you will not just know the Laravel, you will also be able to build your own real application from scratch. Now, we are talking about logging system, creating and editing data, uploading file, even deploying your application on a live sites. And today we start from zero, no assumption, no shortcut, just step by step learning the right way. So uh, let's begin. So again, welcome to Laravel for beginner. In this first episode we are focusing on something very important, that is setting the foundation, because if your foundation is strong, everything else become easy. Today we will install Laravel, understand how it works, and run our first application. And I will explain everything, not just what we do, but why we do it. So our aim is to build something that is important and meaningful for your understanding. So before we start, I want to show you where we are going, because learning become much easier when you know the destination. In this course, we are going to build a complete web application, not a demo and not any toy project. It's a real application. You will build a blog system where user can create content. You will add authentication, meaning user can log in and register. And also you will implement image upload functionalities, and you will be able to edit and delete posts. And finally we will take that application and deploy it live. So this is not just learning Laravel, this is learning how to build any real system from scratch. Now let's zoom into what we will cover today. First we will understand what Laravel actually is, because many people start using it without really understanding it. Then we will break down MVC, or model view controller, and I promise by the end of this video MVC or model view controller will feel simple. Then we will install Laravel step by step and run our first application, and finally we will write our first lines of code. So in this video, it's all about building a strong mental model. So why Laravel framework is come into action? Why just we don't use those unstructured PHP coding styles? So now let's talk about why Laravel even exists. Imagine you are building a website using plain PHP. At first, it seems simple. You write some HTML and a bit of PHP and it works, and then blah blah. But as your application grows and things to start change, your code becomes messy. Logic and HTML are what we call is that mixed together, and I don't know where the things are anymore. So then it comes the worst part. You fix one bug and suddenly three new bugs appear because everything is connected in a messy way. There is no structure, no clear pattern, and no consistency. And when you try to scale your project, it becomes a nightmare. This is exactly why framework like Laravel is exist. So our main reason we use Laravel is to prevent those problems that we have already uh, discussed above, like code becoming messy, no structure. That means it's confusion. One bug breaks everything. Fixing one issue can create three or more problem in different parts of your app, and also hard to scale our project since small project work, but adding new feature become difficult. So now let's move to the solution. Laravel gives us a clean structure. Instead of putting everything in one file, Laravel organizes your application into clear parts. Your data goes in one place, your logic goes in another, and your UI is separated, or our user interface is separated structure. So this separation makes your code easier to understand. Next is easy to maintain, and it's what we call is that much easier to scale. So instead of fighting your code, you focus on what we call is that building your great future. So Laravel allows us clean structure. Everything has its place, organized folder, and a clear separation of concerns, and also organized code. That means it follow industry best practice that make your code easy to maintain and extend, and also faster development. It builds in a future, lets you focus on building future, not reinventing the wheel. And also scalable apps. Start small, grow your application as big as you need. So our next concept is what Laravel is doing is that model view controller architecture. So now we come to one of the most important concepts, which is MVC, model view controller. At first, this may sound complicated, but let's break it down step by step. This model is responsible for your data. It interacts with your database, stores information, and also retrieves information. For example, if you have a blog post, the model is what talks to the database to get those posts. So our model handles data and database interaction, while the view is what user sees. It displays the user interface and pages. So view is your UI, your HTML, and your design. Uh, by the way, view it doesn't care how data is stored, how data is processed. It's simply displaying the user interface and pages. Next is controller. Controller is the main processor or the brain of Laravel. It processes requests and connects model to the views. So the controller is the brain. It connects everything. It receives the request, gets data from the model, and send it to the view. So the full flow is user requests, then control processes, then model fetches data, and view renders page, and finally the browser displays. So now let's make it easy by walking you through a real example. So a user opens your website, that request goes to controller. Then the controller asks a model for data. Since model is the database, then the model fetches the data from the database. Since model interacts with the database, then controller sends the data to the view. Since initially the controller requests data from the model, after getting the data from the model, it directly sends the data to the view, and finally the view displays it. So this flow is the foundational of Laravel. Once you understand this, Laravel become much easier. So now let's move to the requirements of Laravel. So to install and run our Laravel program, we need to have a PHP, which is a version 8 or higher, since Laravel runs on PHP. Then we require a composer, which is a dependency manager and installs Laravel and all package. Then we will use some terminals or command line interface to run installation commands and to run migrations and to run everything. We use Git, Visual Studio, or some other terminal uh, mechanisms. So now let us directly move to the installation steps of Laravel. So every one of you need to set up your PC or personal laptop, and we will install Laravel together in much easier way. So now let's move to Laravel installing from the scratch. So your complete beginner guide to building a Laravel application on Windows using XAMPP. So follow this step to create your development environment from the ground up. So now let's do it together. So welcome back again to this complete Laravel installation step-by-step guide. So in the next, I'm going to show you how to install Laravel from scratch in any way that is not just copy and paste, but something you actually understand. Because here is the truth: most beginners don't fail because Laravel is hard. They fail because they install things without understanding what each tool is doing. So when something breaks, they get stuck. But in this video, we are going to do things differently. I will guide you step by step, and more importantly, I will explain what's happening in the background. So by the end of this video, you'll not just have a Laravel installed, but you have actually understand your development environment. So now before we install anything, let's zoom out for a second and understand the big picture. Laravel is not just one tool, it's part of a full development ecosystem. To run Laravel on your machine, we need few key components that are working together. We need a server, a database, and a programming language, a dependency manager, and front-end tools. If that sounds confusing, don't worry, let's simplify it. Think of it like building a house. The server is like the land where your house sits. The database is like storage where all your important data lives. Composer is like a delivery system that brings all material you need. And the Node.js is like finishing team that handles the design and the user interface. So once you understand this, everything become much easier. So all right, now let's start with first step, installing XAMPP. All right, let's start with first step, installing XAMPP. So to download XAMPP, we need to visit sites apachefriends.org. This is the original site where you can download XAMPP server. So XAMPP is the most important popular PHP development environment. XAMPP is a completely free, easy to install Apache distribution containing MariaDB, PHP, Perl, and the XAMPP is an open source package has been set up to be incredibly easy to install and to use. So right now I'm downloading XAMPP for the Windows version. It's almostly a PHP version of 8.2.12. Awesome, yes, it's redirecting to the downloading sites. So my download will start automatically. So while downloading is going, let's uh, remind you something about XAMPP. XAMPP is a very useful because it gives us three important things in one package. So XAMPP is a very useful tool because it gives us three important things in one package. This will be Apache, MySQL, and PHP. So instead of installing them one by one, XAMPP bundles everything together. So now while this is downloading or installing, let me explain what each of these actually does. Apache is a web server. That means whenever you open a website in your browser, there's a server responding to your request. So in your local environment, Apache plays that role. So basically, Apache is what makes your website accessible. Next is MySQL. This is your database. Any real application need to store a data. So this data may be user account, password, transaction, post, everything is stored in database. And MySQL is one of the most popular database used in Laravel. So finally, we will install PHP from this XAMPP version. Since Laravel is built using PHP, so without PHP, Laravel cannot run. So you can see XAMPP is not just a random tool, it's actually the foundation of everything we are building. So now let's continue to the installation. Simply you need to click to the file you have already downloaded. Welcome to them. Then you press OK. Continue with default. Then next. Uh, it should be at a default folder, which is C and ZAB. You can also modify this, but I will prefer the default path. And then next, you will choose your language. Then it will install our what we call that, our PHP. So once our XAMPP is installed, when you open it, you will see different services like that one we care about Apache and MySQL. So when you go ahead and start Apache, and you will, when you start the MySQL version, if everything turns green, that means your server is running correctly. If something doesn't start, so you don't have to be panic. Most of the time it's just a port conflict. Another application may be using this same port, so we can fix it. But if it's working, we can leave it. So XAMPP is a very vital tool while in Laravel. So the building block for Laravel is a PHP. Since we have already said that uh, Laravel is structured and well maintained a version of PHP. So our installation is almost 75%. So our installation is now completed. Let's finish it and run and check whether it's working or not working. So let's start both Apache and MySQL. Then let's visit the admin page for both Apache and MySQL. You can see that our modules are turned green, so that it means working. Anyhow, let's check our admin panel for both. So let's run admin. Localhost, okay, dashboard is working. So our Apache is running in our local host. So it means our XAMPP is working. Apache. Now let's see our database MySQL is running or not. So it will be fine. Our PHP myadmin will run automatically. We will see our database here. So here is our database. We can create or add. You can implement CRUD operation here if you are using a pure PHP programming. So you can see that working. So now let's finalize this. Our XAMPP is working. So you need to check this either working or not working. Now let's move to the second most important component, which is a composer. So this composer is the most important tool, since composer is a dependency manager for PHP. If you have worked with JavaScript similar to npm, so instead of manually downloading libraries, composer installs everything automatically. So let's install our composer. It's easy installation method. Just download and run our window version. So now while installing composer, there is one step very important, and that is we need to select the correct path so you can run automatically on our device. The next, the most important thing is here, you need to select correct path. So make sure you select C XAMPP PHP, then PHP exe. Even your installation process must be, firstly you need to install XAMPP, then composer. So uh, you can choose the default method here. These steps connect composer with PHP we installed using XAMPP. So if you skip this or select the wrong path, Laravel installation will fail later on. So take your time here and make sure this is correct. So once composer is installed, once PHP is installed, now let's verify it. So let's verify it using command prompt or PowerShell. Let us see composer. minus v. So you can see such response if you correctly install your composer. So our composer version is 2.95 2026. So now let's check our environments. So we need to make sure our environment paths contain a XAMPP path. So there is no XAMPP here, so we need to add our XAMPP paths or directory. So C XAMPP should be uh, saved here. Actually, there is something important here, which is an environmental variable. Now this might sound technical, but I will explain it simply. Environment variable allow your system to recognize commands, what we call that, globally all over your device. For example, when you type composer in the terminal, your system needs to know where composer is actually located. So that's what environmental variable do. Without them, your computer will say commands are not recognized. So think of it like giving your system a map to find tools quickly. So we need to set our XAMPP path C XAMPP PHP around in our environmental variables. So let me check it. So it exists. So next thing is, let's check our PHP version. So our PHP version is 8.12. So then we need to install a Laravel installer. To install that, we use the command composer global require Laravel installer. When you run this command, Laravel installer will run automatically. Composer global require Laravel slash installer. We wait a little bit here. So it downloads various components. Now we are done with installing Laravel installer. Now let's check its version. Laravel minus V. So we get Laravel installer 5.25.1. So the next step is, before directly creating our new project, let us install what we call Node.js or npm, because we need it uh, in our project. Since we will use either a Vite or Tailwind, we need npm. So let us download Node.js and run npm. So you can directly browse nodejs.org. You can download installer, a window installer, simple download and run it. Small file size 30 megabyte. so that you can run it here. Just say next, default method, accept license agreement, the next default path, and say next, install. After installing, you can check your version using node dash v and npm dash v using your command prompt or PowerShell. If you see versions or version number, everything's work fine. If not working, uh, then we will install again. So installation completed. By the way, even though Laravel is a backend framework, front-end tools are uh, very important since Node.js comes with npm, which is a package manager for JavaScript. So Laravel uses these modern front-end tools like Vite, and Vite depends on npm. So our installation is completed. Now let's check its version, which is npm minus v. You can see that our version is 11.11.0, our node dash v. So you can see that our version is 24.14.1. So we have already completed our major components, installation of our major components. Now let us go to create our first Laravel project. I think this step looks easy and straightforward, so every one of you can install in your device. Now let's move to the next step. Right now, let's create our first Laravel project. You can create your project at any path in your device, since we will use a SQLite database. Since we are using XAMPP, so we don't need to worry about paths or places where to create a XAMPP project or a Laravel project. So now let us say composer create a project Laravel. Let us say it's blog app. This command creates a complete Laravel application. Think of it as generating a full project instantly. During installation, you can see various errors, but it will fix by itself. For example, if its PHP is not satisfied by your platform, it downloads it and satisfy by himself, so you don't need to worry about it. So it will run automatically and it will generate a full project instantly. So let us see it. 69 package suggestion were added by new dependency. Use composer suggest see details. So now as on generating optimized outload files. Actually, after creating a new project, the Laravel is downloading all required files and a dependency. This process can take few minutes depending on your internet speed. So instead of staying silent, let's make our training engaging. So let me explain something was happening here. Composer is downloading many packages that Laravel depends on. This include a routing system, database tools, security features, and more other requirements. So this is what makes Laravel more powerful when it comes with full ecosystem that's already ready-made and ready to use. When the next fully project is created, we will move into project folder and we will see how Laravel is structured. We will see it together. So now our project is created. Now let's move to into the project folder. So let's move to project folder cd. We have created a project blog app. So blog app. So we are in our project directory. You can see our files like app, composers, database, byte, or something like that. So next step is installing frontend dependency. Since npm command, we use npm installer command. This command will download all javascript related package needed for this project. This will include tool for style, bundling, and optimization. But now, since we are running our first project, we don't need to install any npm or frontend. Now, just let's see run our first application and see how it will appear in our browser. So let's say PHP Artisan server. This is the command used to start our server. PHP Artisan server. So our server is running. That's HTTP 127.0.0.1 at port 8000. This is our localhost. Now let's open it and run this. We must see Laravel default page. So well done. Congratulations, we have done our first Laravel application. So now your Laravel application is running successfully. But before we end, let me save you from common mistakes. If composer is not recognized, check your environment variables. If npm is not recognized, that means Node.js might not be installed properly. And also, if Apache fails to start, it's usually a port conflict. These are the common mistakes or errors happen. So these are a very normal issue, and every developer will face them during first installation stages. So the key is understanding the problem and not just memorizing steps. So for this video, now we have completed a Laravel development environment setup from scratch, and more importantly, you understand how everything works. Now let us modify our welcome Laravel page from the default to the something that are or that we intend to view as welcome page. So now let's run a simple first code. This pages comes from the root folder. So now let's open our Visual Studio, which is my favorite coding terminal. Now let's open new window so that we can access our folder. Let's open folder blog app, which we have recently created in local disk C. So this is our project folder we created now. So we need to select and trust it to run in our application. Let's close the old one. So our Laravel structure of coding seems like this or resembles this. First is app. Our app contains HTTP models and provider. That means a controller, model, and this app service provider. These are our default paths in the app. Then we got a bootstraps, configuration, and also database, including some database SQLite. We will use SQLite database for the next project because it is a file-based database. Since we are running this for tutorial or for learning purpose, we can use SQLite under public. There is index PHP, robot.xt. You can see that. So resource. This is the main layout. It includes CSS, JS. Under view, we can create various things. Root are the foundational for our Laravel project. For example, web.php is this is the page where displays our default program or our default website. So now let's change or remove this and make it ourselves. Let's make it rootkit return instead of this. Let's say it's just let's remove the view and say some commands like welcome to Laravel, tutorial series. Let's add some symbols. So let's make it auto save. It's already auto save. So it's better we use what we call is that terminal here also. So sometimes we need to clear our caches to see the updated format, or instead let's stop this using Control C and run again our PHP Artisan serve command. Now let's check our site. So see that we have changed this into text format. Welcome to Laravel tutorial series. This means when someone visits this homepage, it returns this message. While you refresh your browser, you can see your changes instantly. So now let's pause here. You have installed Laravel, you run your first application and wrote a simple real code. So this is exactly how every developer starts. So in this video, we built the foundation. So in the next video, we start building real pages. That means routing, controller, and real application logic. So this is where things get exciting. So I will see you on the next session. Before that, if this video helped you, don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you got stuck anywhere, just drop comment. I will help you. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next video.